This story starts with a defeated man's head groans in immense pain. Amidst the devastation, he reaches for a cloaked figure, questioning their identity and motive. The mysterious figure turns their profile, seemingly pondering the desperate question asked of them. Leaning close, the figure reveals his sharp eyes and declares himself to be evil. His gloved hand, spattered with fresh blood, is shown in a chilling close-up. The youth unleashes a powerful attack, shouting its name as shadowy hands emerge. The scene transitions to a serene, opulent room with a grand fireplace and chandelier. A window pane in the house violently warps, struck by an unseen powerful force. An old-fashioned rotary telephone sits silently amidst the unseen turmoil, shaking the room. An ornate wooden cabinet rattles violently, its door shaking loose on its hinges. A maid welcomes her master home, announcing the presence of his newborn son upstairs. With a cold expression, the master acknowledges her words with a detached inquiry. His gaze sharpens as he remarks that he and his son are finally meeting. Cradling the infant, the father is struck by the terrifying magical power within the baby. He holds the baby's tiny hand, noting its exceptional skill and compatibility with family arts. The father foresees that the child will have to walk a difficult, thorny path. He names the sleeping infant Apreuto, telling him to live by his own convictions. Years pass, with the sounds of training echoing from a grand clock tower. A young Apreuto spars fiercely, while an onlooker cheers for his impressive spirit. Apreuto calls a halt to the match, his opponent immediately and respectfully complying. A striking portrait shows an adolescent Apreuto, his gaze filled with unyielding resolve. His inner monologue recalls waking up years ago to an unfamiliar ceiling, a sign of reincarnation. Hearing his name called during training had triggered a profound sense of connection for him. He realizes with dawning horror that this world is from a popular fantasy novel. He understands his identity as Apreuto Arc, the story's villain destined to cause despair. However, he recognizes that the biggest problem in the story lies elsewhere. His destiny is to be killed by the story's protagonist, Hitsuji Aruto, in his party. He concludes the reason for his original counterpart's defeat was tragically simple. He lacked allies. The original Apreuto had the strength to grasp the kingdom's problems, but was isolated. As the situation worsened, lower-ranked nobles abandoned him, siding with the protagonist. Consequently, he faced the hero and his allies alone, destined to be defeated. Reflecting on his training, he decides this predetermined fate is absolutely unacceptable to him. He logically lays out his two options for survival: befriend the hero or defeat him. With fierce determination, he dismisses the first option, admitting he hates the hero. Since he was born a villain, he decides to embrace that role fully. He adds one crucial amendment to the script. He has no intention of losing. He resolves to eliminate all uncertainties before the main story even begins. His expression is a mask of unwavering focus as he hones his swordsmanship. He makes thorough preparations to become an absolute evil to ensure his victory. A confident smirk appears on his face as he prepares his final move. His inner thought is a cold, hard promise to himself to crush the protagonist. His final strike is delivered with a powerful shout and ferocious intensity. The two onlookers watch in stunned silence, their eyes wide with utter disbelief. The sparring partner, utterly defeated, drops his head and formally surrenders. Apreuto states his first step is to gather some trustworthy comrades for his purpose. Two men run up to praise the young master's incredible skill. His expression shifts to one of chilling intensity as he affirms his plan. The two men flinch back, startled and intimidated by his sudden, dangerous aura. He internally expresses annoyance, realizing his power is having an unintended effect. He explains the cost of his absolute evil skill is to be hated by others. He apologizes for his irritation, noting the skill is what makes him stronger. The two men proudly declare themselves to be his loyal servants, Apreuto-sama. Apreuto looks on, his expression now calm and thoughtful once more. In the courtyard, the defeated man kneels before the young master. His opponent admits he was utterly overpowered by the end of their match. Apreuto calmly agrees, reflecting on how he mysteriously absorbs new skills as his own. A montage showcases his multifaceted abilities in combat, healing, and barrier magic. His growth is all thanks to his unique skill, Absolute Evil. His diverse powers are summarized with one word: truly versatile. He stands confidently, describing himself as a self-starting type of cheat character. With a sharp, knowing smirk, Apreuto murmurs that things are getting interesting. An advisor reminds him to gather allies before the main story truly begins. Apreuto holds a finger to his chin, contemplating his next move. In a grand corridor, a servant announces that Viren-sama is calling for him. Seated in a stately office, Apreuto listens as his father addresses him. Viren Arc praises his son's progress, but commands him to keep improving. Apruto internally reflects that his father is a proper villain, aiming for ultimate power. A flashback shows a younger, flustered Apruto being praised by his father. He thanks his father, admitting it feels good to be praised after so long. Varan declares the preface over and moves on to the main topic. He announces a commemorative party for Prince Michael's 10th birthday next month. With a stern look, Varan commands his son to attend the party. He acknowledges Apruto's skills cause him to be misunderstood and orders him to behave. Apruto politely tries to be excused so he can return to his training. The scene closes on the ornate doors of the office. The meeting concluded. Varan smiles confidently, surprised Apruto could meet his gaze without being intimidated. His aide Suhai confirms reports that Apruto's level has already surpassed 40. Varan plans to use his son's overwhelming force to crush their rivals. He laments that his other children are obedient but lack popularity. As Apruto walks alone, he thinks about his family's core philosophy. Varan's voice states that the most important thing is evident power or violence. Popularity, Varan believes, is a secondary concern that doesn't truly matter. Suhai, however, looks on with a worried and dissenting expression. He argues they must improve Apruto's image or their foundation will crumble. The setting shifts to the opulent ballroom of the royal castle in the capital. A lavish spread of food and drink is laid out for the noble guests. Nobles in fine attire mingle and chat, enjoying the grand occasion. An older mustachioed nobleman is informed that the king and prince are arriving. Varan and Apruto arrive, with Varan offering congratulations on the occasion. The older nobleman, Duke Ku, asks who the boy with Viren is. Apruto steps forward with formal poise, introducing himself as Apruto Ark. The Duke acknowledges the introduction with a sharp, assessing gaze. A palpable tension crackles between Apruto and the young Prince Michael. The prince gives a slight, dismissive huff and turns away from Apruto. The silent confrontation is broken by Varan, who coolly calls for Apruto to follow. Lord Viran and Apruto walk through the crowded ballroom together. They are approached by a nervous Count Jose, who seems flustered in Viran's presence. Apruto internally reflects that the lower-ranked nobles have a tough time. Count Jose explains he wanted to introduce his son and pay his respects. With casual disdain, Varan pats Apruto's head and tells him to go. A dark-haired boy with piercing eyes contemplates his next move in silence. He approaches a startled blonde boy, demanding to know his name. The timid boy stammers his introduction as Chris from the Jose family. Apruto formally introduces himself, causing the other boy to bow deeply. Internally, Chris worries about his future, fearing he is already disliked. Apruto hopes to reach out and connect with the younger generation. His eyes scan the room, taking in another confident-looking blonde boy. He also observes a girl with elaborate pigtails and her watchful companion. Apruto believes forging these alliances is the best way to avoid future ruin. His father sends him to the youth gathering, the adult greetings now concluded. As Apruto enters the hall, the other children fall silent and stare. He strides purposefully towards the gathering, his expression determined. His face hardens as he accepts the ostracization that comes with his family's name. The other children whisper anxiously amongst themselves about his sudden appearance. They murmur that the party was supposed to be for them, not him. Apruto's gaze sharpens as he steels himself for the cold reception. He steps fully into the room, his presence immediately altering the atmosphere. His sharp eyes take in the scene before him with intense focus. A haughty boy on a landing mocks a group for their low social status. The targeted children, including Chris, are told to leave the party at once. Apruto, a solitary and determined figure, decides to intervene in the bullying. His expression remains unreadable as he prepares to make his move. The bully grabs one boy, shouting his presence lowers the party's dignity. A cold, sharp voice cuts through the air, questioning what they are doing. The bullies freeze, their faces a mixture of shock and utter fear. Apruto walks forward, his shadow falling over the tense scene. Chris looks up from the floor, his tear-streaked face filled with surprise. Apruto's voice is low and dangerous as he asks his question again. He takes a firm, deliberate step, emphasizing his authority and power. He demands to know what they are doing to members of the Ark family. The bruised face of a young blonde boy reveals that violence has already occurred. Apruto addresses the aggressors, offering to hear their reasons for the fight. His piercing gaze assesses the situation with cold, calculating intensity. He states that, depending on their response, he might consider forgiving them. He dismisses them as insignificant fools, drunk on their own perceived power. With his back to them, he declares their presence an annoyance. The bullies attempt to intimidate him, questioning if he understands his actions. Apruto calmly informs them he will remember their faces and orders them to leave. Panic erupts as the bullies turn and flee in a chaotic scramble. The vast, opulent ballroom is suddenly quiet. the aggressors having vanished. Aprudo stands tall, a faint, powerful aura shimmering around him. The 5 children he saved look up at him with awe and fear. His intense demeanor softens as he releases his heightened power state. Chris immediately scrambles to his knees, bowing his head to the floor. He thanks Aprudo profusely for saving them from their tormentors. He also apologizes for tarnishing the name of the Ark faction. Aprudo's gaze softens as he prepares to offer a gentle comfort. He reaches out a hand, causing the startled Chris to flinch away. His touch is kind, a soft light healing the bruise on Chris's cheek. Chris looks up, his eyes wide with astonishment and wonder at the magic. Aprudo identifies him as being from the Jose family, noting the terrible situation. Chris explains they couldn't rebel against so many higher-ranked families. He insists the responsibility is his alone and pleads for the others to be spared. A girl with elaborate pigtails rushes forward, introducing herself as Lady Cruel. She explains that Chris was injured while protecting them from the attackers. With a desperate plea, she begs Aprudo to show mercy to Chris. Aprudo observes the group of children, now united in their loyalty. He comically grumbles internally that Chris is more popular than he is. He quickly dismisses the feeling, insisting it's not jealousy at all. His expression turns serious as he announces he understands the situation. He declares that the incident is the fault of all of them combined. He then poses a sharp question, asking if they know why that is. Chris hesitantly suggests it's because their low rank led to underestimation. Aprudo concedes this is partly true, but presses them on their lack of foresight. He points out they should have known they'd be treated with contempt. A visual of them kneeling helplessly flashes through his mind as he speaks. He visualizes the scene of their humiliation, beaten and defenseless. Overwhelmed, Chris cries out, asking what else he was supposed to do. Aprudo calmly cuts through his justifications, asking why he didn't wait. The question leaves Chris and Lady Cruel utterly stunned and speechless. He states he would never have allowed them to be treated so poorly. He notes the bullies fled, even though he hadn't finished his training. He reminds them of their shared responsibility for the entire incident. An intimidating aura surrounds him as he declares he will impose a punishment. He takes a deep, deliberate breath, preparing to deliver his sentence. With a grand gesture, he commands them to stay in his sight in the future. The children stare back, their expressions shifting from terror to confusion. He frames this order as a lesson learned from the day's painful incident. The group of children looks on, their faces now soft with understanding. Tears stream down Chris's face as he chokes out Aprudo's name gratefully. Aprudo insists his actions are purely for the benefit of the Ark family. A slight, knowing smile touches his lips as he adds one more thing. He forbids them from separating from him without his express permission. In perfect unison, 3 of the boys shout a resounding, "Yes!" Aprudo proudly declares that protecting them is the duty of those above. The girls gaze at him with pure adoration, whispering his name in awe. In a garden, Aprudo demonstrates how to fuse water and wind magic. He explains to Lady Cruel that her natural affinities are water and wind. He effortlessly creates a swirling vortex of energy to apply this magic. Lady Cruel watches, blushing with amazement at his incredible skill. She manages to create a stunning, multifaceted star of solidified water. Both she and Chris are impressed by the control required for the feat. Beaming, she exclaims that such skill is expected of Absolute Sama. Aprudo turns to Chris, asking about his fire magic affinity. He advises Chris that fire magic is versatile and to focus on his strengths. Following the party, Absolute organizes training sessions and tea parties. He feels the distance between himself and his followers is gradually shortening. Chris looks on as Lady Umpu plays happily in the garden. Chris runs towards Absolute, calling his name with a sense of urgency. Absolute stops him, stating he has a question about the magic used at the party. A young nobleman, Absolute, has a focused and serious expression on his face. Chris looks shocked, realizing the magic used on him was healing magic. Absolute internally marvels at Chris's exceptional talent at such a young age. 2 maids, one elderly and one middle-aged, stand with professional grace. Absolute turns to his companions, Chris and Lady Umpu, with a question. From a gazebo in a lush garden, someone suggests they should take a break. A tiered tray holds delicate sandwiches, pastries, and a tea service for them. Lady Umpu expresses her amazement at Absolute's incredible magical versatility. Her eyes sparkling with hearts, she professes her deep respect and love for him. Absolute sips his tea, clinically noting that she awakens a man's protective instincts. He explains that in noble fights, having many spells isn't as important as unique magic. A solemn knighting ceremony illustrates the strict inheritance rules for this special power. Chris asks if the Ark family's unique magic is the fabled Ark Summon. Absolute reveals they are not just ordinary spirits, but from the Spirit King's lineage. He recalls the original story where this magic annihilated a huge portion of an army. Taking a sip of tea, he notes its most important quality: it never betrays its master. His eyes gleam with chilling intensity as he declares his desire to inherit it soon. Chris gulps in shock, while Lady Unpu is utterly starstruck by his ambition. A caption notes that 5 long years remain until he can inherit this power. 5 years later, the trio stands in school uniforms, ready for the story's first event. Absolute thinks his preparations are flawless, but one crucial piece is still missing. Back in the present, Absolute calls out to a surprised Chris to get his attention. He makes a request. He wants Chris to procure and educate a slave maid for him. Chris confirms his family's involvement in the slave trade makes this possible. He suggests it would be quicker to simply choose a servant from the Ark family. Absolute turns away, his expression cool as he states he dislikes his household staff. His blunt rejection leaves Chris and Lady Unpu speechless and concerned. Internally, Absolute worries that his strange behavior has aroused their suspicion. His true motive is to find a slave who cannot betray him, unlike his story's staff. He begins to explain, mentioning an old maid who was present at his birth. Now he explains her 48-year-old daughter Mito is his primary caretaker. He comically laments that his mansion feels like a scandalous, mature-maid cafe. Absolute peeks at Chris, who seems to understand and accept the odd explanation. Chris promises to procure the highest quality slave and asks for any specific requests. Stirring his tea with a soft clink, Absolute states that race is irrelevant. He adds that he prefers someone who possesses self-defense abilities. Lady Unpu enthusiastically volunteers, but is bluntly and immediately rejected. Chris confirms he understands the request while Lady Unpu slumps in defeat. Pushing his chair back, Absolute states that he is counting on Chris. He calls for his maid, Mito, as he prepares to leave the tea party. The 2 maids respond immediately, ready to escort their young master. They walk him from the garden, leaving the abandoned tea table behind. A close-up reveals his hand is trembling slightly, a crack in his composure. The maids escort him towards the grand mansion, their expressions gentle. At the deserted tea table, Chris and Lady Unpu watch him go with worried faces. Chris laments not being more considerate, seeing how even the maids fear Absolute. Lady Unpu sighs, expressing her pity for their poor, misunderstood friend. Chris voices his desire to offer comfort to the lonely young lord. He questions Lady Unpu's recent bubbly personality, noting it's a new development. She smiles, explaining it's a strategy to get closer to the reserved Absolute. Chris asks if her earlier passionate declaration of love was just part of the act. Blushing softly, she insists that her feelings for him are pure love. A flashback shows her regret over misunderstanding and abandoning him at a party. She mentions learning about his absolute evil skill, which changed her perspective. Chris recalls hearing the same story, which made his own chest swell with emotion. Lady Unpu squeezes her hands, vowing to stay by his side this time. She explains her comical approach as a tactic to appear big-hearted and approachable. A fire ignites in Chris's eyes as he vows to never abandon Absolute again. He declares that surrounding Absolute with allies is now his personal responsibility. Lady Unpu smiles, agreeing with his newfound and shared purpose. Chris looks on, his expression now one of quiet, determined resolve. As they walk away together, he tells her that approaching her first was correct. He reveals his deeper strategy, to fend off romantic rivals from the handsome noble. With a confident smile, he states it's best for Absolute to have many allies. An ornate royal carriage drawn by 2 white horses arrives at an estate. An elderly butler wishes the young Absolute well as he prepares to leave. Absolute offers a curt acknowledgement before turning to face his destination. His destination is revealed to be the formidable house of Count Jose, a slave trader mansion. The young boy approaches the massive guarded gates with unchildlike resolve. With a heavy creak, the gates swing open, beckoning him inside. His boot takes a firm, deliberate step onto the mansion's grounds. Inside, Count Jose and his son Chris welcome him with a deep bow. The Count addresses him respectfully as Absolute Sama, asking to be treated kindly. Chris stands at attention as his father explains the selection of slaves has been prepared. Count Jose gestures for Absolute to proceed, beginning to offer an apology. The Count warns that restrictions are imposed on the behavior of the slaves. Absolute cuts him off, stating there is no need to lower the price. With a sharp smile, Absolute thanks Count Jose for his hard work. The young boy's gaze is sharp and intelligent, his eyes holding immense weight. Count Jose smiles deferentially, expressing his own gratitude for the opportunity. Chris leads Absolute to an empty hall, explaining the interview process. He cheerfully reassures Absolute that the slave's actions are bound by contract. Pointing to an ornate chair, Chris asks Absolute to wait there. Absolute takes his seat, musing that it is an individual interview system. He compares the gravity of the choice to buying a house, requiring great care. Chris announces that he has kept Absolute Sama waiting long enough. A pair of bare shackled feet step into the room as the first candidate is brought in. A terrified young wolf tribe girl named introduces herself, her body trembling. Absolute's eyes widen with intense interest as she begs to be bought, sensing fate. The grim scene is chillingly labeled as fun and leisure shopping. From his chair, Absolute observes the proceedings like a true villainous aristocrat. The girl, now named Wool, repeats her name and age, her eyes full of sorrow. A close-up on her eye reveals the deep, desperate plea within her gaze. A comical, chibi version of her begs to be bought, while Absolute looks on. He notes clinically that she looks like she's about to cry, feeling the sting of her fear. Chris winces, clearly pained by the distress caused to the child. Absolute asks Chris if Wool is still young enough to learn how to fight properly. Chris confirms her potential, noting her current level and skills are promising. Absolute concludes that her potential makes her perfect for preventing future surprises. He thinks to himself that it's good to buy them young, as kindness will win her over. A young nobleman, Apriuto, sits in quiet contemplation, his expression detached and analytical. His quiet, dismissive words cause the young slave girl, Wool, to react with shocked despair. Overcome with emotion, she lets out a heart-wrenching wail, begging him not to reject her. Apriuto grimaces, realizing with some annoyance that he should have been more considerate. His assistant, Chris, nervously observes that the master appears to be angry once again. Apriuto instructs Chris to dismiss this candidate and call for the next one. A new, incredibly muscular slave enters as Apriuto watches from his ornate chair. The woman introduces herself as Elizabeth, blowing a flirty kiss toward the young master. She offers to be cute for him, but he recoils in disgust and shouts for the next. A logo for the Scanlation group is displayed on the page. The sound of bare feet on the floor announces the arrival of another candidate. A young woman with short, light-colored hair is shown in profile, her expression stoic. From his chair, Apriuto watches her approach, his hand resting thoughtfully on his chin. A close-up reveals the heavy, dark manacles shackled around the new slave's wrists. Apriuto's expression is one of intense focus as he continues his observation. The woman introduces herself with a clear voice as Maria Stella, 15 years old. Apriuto murmurs her name, a sense of strange familiarity striking him. Chris explains that Maria was a noble knight who became a slave due to immense debt. He adds that she has not yet awakened her latent magical powers. A jolt of understanding strikes Apriuto as he suddenly remembers where he knows her from. He recalls that Maria Stella is an older sister-type heroine from a famous story. His mind races, remembering that she was supposed to be bought by the story's protagonist. He envisions a scene from the story where she offers her lap for the tired hero to rest. Another memory shows her smiling down at the sleeping hero with gentle affection. He recalls a suggestive bathing scene between Maria and the story's main character. In his memory, Maria teasingly offers to wash the protagonist's back for him. Apriuto clutches his head, flustered by the indecent situations created for the hero. He realizes that by securing Maria now, he can significantly weaken the protagonist's power. Knowing her immense potential, he makes his final decision with cold, strategic resolve. Apriuto informs Chris of his choice, dismissing the idea of purchasing Elizabeth. With a confident smile, he declares they will buy Wool and Maria instead. Apriuto signs the official contracts with a quill, his expression serious and focused. The transaction is finalized as the merchant confirms the contract. He turns around to look back at his newly acquired slaves. Maria stands defiantly while the younger Wool trembles with fear beside her. With a villainous flourish, he introduces himself as Apriuto Arc, their new master. Wool reacts with terror, realizing he is from the infamous and villainous Arc family. Maria glares, her disgust intensifying upon learning his family name. She mutters that his lineage explains the revulsion she feels towards him. Maria confronts him directly, declaring she would rather die than serve him. Apriuto coolly dismisses her defiance as a predictable act of bravado. He stands before them, stating plainly that he has no intention of killing them. He condescendingly tells them they don't yet understand the gravity of their situation. A dark aura surrounds him as he unleashes his powerful skill, Path of the Sphere. An overwhelming wave of dread washes over both Maria and Wool. Wool is reduced to a whimpering mess, sweating and trembling uncontrollably. Maria is also visibly shaken, her hands trembling from the immense pressure. The two women are completely terrified, their previous defiance shattered by his power. Apriuto issues a final, chilling warning for them to be careful with how they speak. Now completely subjugated, they kneel on the floor and offer their apologies. Apriuto smirks with satisfaction, pleased that he has made the two women submit. The scene shifts to the grand mansion under a starry night sky. An older maid calls out to Maria, who is now dressed in a pristine maid's uniform. The head maid, Mit, asks Maria if she has grown accustomed to her new job. Mit teases her, noting she ended up doing ordinary chores, not dirty things. The head maid then inquires about how things are going with their master, Apruto. Maria, with her arms crossed, confesses that she simply doesn't know what to think. She reflects that while he bothered her at first, her feelings have become complicated. She finds that her master is surprisingly quiet for a member of the infamous Ark family. His speech is invasive and his face emotionless, yet he seems to have a hidden depth. Occasionally, she observes, he shows a face that seems to tell a deeper story. Mit adds that he has never once been violent towards servants or lower-ranking nobles. However, the impression he leaves on the people around him is generally positive. Mit takes Maria's hands, reassuring her that it's all right to remain as she is. Maria is left confused by the head maid's cryptic words of comfort. A sudden loud crash from an adjacent room startles both of the maids. Maria rushes toward the sound, wondering what could have possibly happened. She bursts into the room, her expression one of pure alarm. She finds Apruto kindly comforting a kneeling wool amidst a shattered vase. Upon seeing Maria, Apruto's expression sours as he accuses her of being a jerk. Maria is left reeling, thinking his contradictory behavior will drive her crazy. A few months later, Mit asks Maria about her impending resignation. Mit praises Maria's work, stating her role is done now that Wool is competent. Maria responds with a non-committal sound, her thoughts clearly elsewhere. She finally asks Mit if she is afraid of their master. Mit's expression turns serious as she considers the difficult question. She admits that it would be a lie to say she wasn't afraid of him. Mit decides Maria has the right to know about Apruto's skill. Absolute evil. Maria is shocked, realizing his terrible impression is caused by a powerful skill. She is left speechless, covering her mouth as the revelation sinks in. Mit explains the staff sympathizes with Apruto, who rarely smiles due to his power. The servants feel a collective sense of responsibility to protect the young master. Mit acknowledges that it is a lot to ask of someone so young. She pleads with Maria to continue supporting him now that she knows the truth. In his room, Maria announces she is taking over as his personal handmaiden. She hesitantly tells him that Mit explained the nature of his skills to her. Apruto's expression becomes tense as he acknowledges her words. His hand instinctively grips the collar of his shirt in a nervous gesture. He asks her directly if his cursed condition bothers her. He erupts with defiance, declaring he is a Apruto Ark regardless of others' opinions. He admits that deep down he knows he's being judged but hopes others can change him. Maria listens, recognizing the deep and painful determination in his declaration. She finds his resolve to be both incredibly sad and bittersweet. She watches him turn back to his book, a solitary and lonely figure. He stands alone by the window, seemingly isolated in his own world. Maria realizes he is destined to live a life of being hurt and misunderstood. Overcome by empathy, she silently embraces him from behind as he reads. The sudden physical contact completely startles him, breaking his concentration. From his perspective, he looks up in shock, letting out a flustered sound. His composure shatters into youthful embarrassment as he shouts for her to get away. A maid's eyes, filled with deep devotion, gaze forward as she murmurs her master's title. Embracing him, she pledges to be his slave, handmaiden and sister, vowing to heal his heart. A close-up on her eye reveals her solemn promise that she will never leave him alone again. The young master sighs, seemingly overwhelmed by the intense display of affection while being held tightly. He pushes her away, telling her he understands and asking her to please let go now. Now composed, he stands with a hand on his hip, instructing her to prepare his bath. With a mischievous smile, she leans in and playfully asks if she should join him. He loudly rejects her offer, though a note reveals they ended up bathing together anyway. The grand mansion stands silent under a starry night sky, setting a tranquil mood. Elsewhere, a shadowy figure climbs into a wagon under the cover of darkness. Clutching crude dolls, the sinister figure vows to use them to crush the Ark family. The scene returns to the bath, where the maid contentedly washes her embarrassed master's back. In a formal office, a stern man asks Apruto if he understands his duties. Apruto stands before him, reciting the Ark family's role in regulating the kingdom's affairs. With his hand on his chest, Apruto confirms that he fully comprehends his family's purpose. His thoughts reveal the truth. The Arks are unsung heroes working in the shadows. He recalls from a story that the family head will be betrayed and abandoned. A look of grim determination crosses his face, knowing continued service is risky. He realizes they need a countermeasure and asks his superior about their current mission. The man explains that unaffiliated gangs numbering 300 are causing trouble in the capital. His eyes narrowed with cold authority, he gives a brutal order to kill them all. Aprudo accepts the grim command, his own expression reflecting a hardened resolve to leave no one behind. Later, Apruto reviews intelligence, noting the offenders are from the Duke of Noir's family. He recalls the Noir family's reputation for underground activities and their recent expansion efforts. The narration confirms the Noir and Arc families are long-standing, opposing organizations in conflict. Aprudo stands on a staircase, resolutely calling for his two attendants, Maria and Wool. In a grand hall, he informs his two maids that he has been assigned a mission. Maria asks with concern where he is going, while Wool looks on worriedly. Now cloaked for the night, Apruto simply confirms that he is leaving on a mission. Maria's face softens with worry as she asks if they can go with him. The two maids stand side by side, pleading their case and promising not to be a burden. Apruto turns them down flatly, asserting that he can handle the mission on his own. He tells them he might not return tonight and that they can go to bed. His two maids watch him go, their expressions a mixture of disappointment and sadness. As he walks away, Maria accepts his decision and wishes him a safe journey. In the aquamarine territory, a leader rallies a large group of armed men to fight. He rouses his troops, declaring that the era of the Arc family is over. Suddenly, a figure's boots land silently in the darkness, signaling an unexpected arrival. A soldier looks up in confusion at a cloaked figure descending from the full moon. With a fierce cry, the cloaked Apruto unleashes a devastating spell called Dark Hole. A massive, swirling vortex of dark energy erupts from him, pulling everything towards its center. The spell is a maelstrom of destructive power, engulfing the entire area in chaos. A soldier's hand reaches out in a desperate, futile gesture as he is dragged in. The immediate aftermath is chaos as several men lie dead or dying on the ground. The leader, having survived, frantically orders his men to attack the brat, identifying the magic. He shouts in disbelief as his remaining men are suddenly struck down by an invisible force. He watches in horror as his men fall, screaming to know what is happening to them. The leader is left seething with rage, screaming, "Damn it!" at the hooded figure. He cannot believe his entire force was decimated by a single child. A swirling wisp of dark magic dissipates in the aftermath of the battle. Apruto surveys the carnage under the moonlight, asking aloud if that was everyone. Looking at his blood-stained hand, he dismisses the title of unsung heroes as a waste. Standing by a horse-drawn carriage, he concludes the royal family is just a convenient pawn. His expression hardens with resolve as he realizes he needs more power. He vows to gain the strength to withstand the violence of any future rebels. His thoughts are interrupted by a noise, noticing a lone survivor trying to escape. The survivor cries out as he tries to flee, hiding behind a wooden crate. Apruto swiftly moves, pinning the man's hand to the ground with his boot. The man cries out in pain, his face a mask of terror on the ground. Terrified but defiant, the man shouts that the Noir family will not stay silent. Apruto's eye narrows as he repeats the name of the rival family with interest. A chilling, blood-stained smile spreads across his face as he welcomes a worthy opponent. The survivor's face is filled with terror as he realizes he is about to die. He desperately asks who his attacker is as Apruto begins his chilling declaration. The man's face contorts in shock as he registers the words he just heard. Apruto finishes his proclamation, stating that he is evil, just like them all. Under the full moon, he prepares to cast his spell one last time. Returning to the manor, Apruto's presence in the hall startles his maid. Maria greets him with a calm, "Welcome back," her voice steady despite the late hour. She gently admonishes him, reminding him that she had told him to stay in bed. His face bruised, he explains he was fulfilling his duty to the country. With a soft smile, Maria tells him that he was the one she wanted to greet. Apruto, looking surprised, asks how she knew that he had returned. She reveals that another maid, Wool, was worried and told her of his arrival. He is surprised, murmuring that he was unaware the Arc family had such a role. He realizes Wool must have used her searching for enemies skill to locate him. As he plans to scold Wool for lying, he is suddenly enveloped in a warm embrace. Maria holds him tightly, lamenting that he has been fighting for their country all along. She confesses with trembling anguish that she truly hates this situation. Her anger is directed at the adults who force her childlike master to fight. Apruto looks at her, caught off guard by the raw intensity of her feelings. He tries to soothe her, insisting his injuries are nothing, gently patting her head. Maria refuses to be placated, shouting that he is hurt, pulling him into a hug. She cries that his heart is so battered that he can't even feel the pain anymore. Her words strike a chord, and he questions if his numbness is just him getting used to it. He looks away, asking if he has become so battered that he is numb to pain. He then poses a heart-wrenching question, asking if he is the one who's messed up. Maria can only look at him with profound sadness, whispering his name in sorrow. She tells him it is late now and that he should go to bed soon. With tears in her eyes, she admits there is more she wants to say, but can't. Aprudo quietly asks her to sleep with him tonight, and she agrees without hesitation. A few days later, he discusses a martial arts tournament with other young nobles. A cheerful girl with pigtails enthusiastically suggests he participate, certain he will win. He seems to be considering her suggestion, his expression thoughtful. He agrees it would be a good opportunity to gauge the strength of his peers. Another boy then adds that he has heard the hero will also be competing. The news hits Aprudo with shocking force, his eyes widening in disbelief. The scene shifts to the courtyard of a grand estate as a girl shouts in alarm. The estate is identified as the home of the Marquis Murai of the Rhinana Kingdom. A young woman panting for breath announces she has finally found the person she was looking for. A young woman with a long braid stands outside a grand estate, angrily shouting for someone named Alt. She accuses him of skipping class again, as a caption ominously questions if he is the real enemy. The scene shifts to a peaceful morning where a small bird chirps on a stone balcony railing. Inside, an opulent bedroom is shown, centered around a large and elegant canopied bed. A young man with dark hair murmurs in his sleep, his head nestled against something soft and warm. As he stirs, he comments on the incredible softness he feels, his hand resting upon it. His eyes flutter open, and he looks up, still cradling the source of his comfort. He discovers he is resting on the lap of his maid, Maria, who warmly wishes her master a good morning. The young master's face contorts in pure, flustered shock as he processes the situation. He shouts for her to get out, but she calmly reassures him, calling herself his older sister. The setting changes to a large, rustic kitchen with stone walls and a grand hearth. A maid named Wool, who has distinctive dog-like ears, hums happily while polishing a plate. Maria walks through a stone archway, calling out Wool's name as she enters the kitchen. Wool jumps in surprise, then cheerfully confirms that the master has already gone to his room. She explains he returned right after breakfast as Maria offers to help with the chores. Maria notes Wool's exceptionally good mood, and Wool beams, revealing the master gave her chocolate. With a blissful expression, Wool gushes about the delicious sweetness, a treat she'd never known before. Maria smiles, glad his breakfast went well, but Wool's cheerful demeanor suddenly falters. To Maria's shock, Wool bursts into tears, wailing that the master scolded her. Maria recalls using detection magic to eavesdrop on the master and Wool in the bedroom. Realizing her part in the incident, she apologizes to Wool, her face filled with guilt. Wool explains through her tears that she only told Maria because she was so worried. With a gentle, sad expression, Maria confesses that she wishes their master would rely on them more. She reflects that his self-reliant nature is surely a part of his kindness. Maria remembers that she is scheduled to have a mock sword fight with the master today. Hearing this, Wool's ears perk up, and she excitedly declares that she wants to go too. With fierce determination, Wool clenches her fists, vowing to become strong enough to protect her master. Maria gently reminds Wool that she had a match the previous day and surely has other duties. Wool reluctantly concedes that she has work to do, as Maria encourages her to finish quickly. A close-up reveals the determined glint in Maria's eye as she prepares for her own challenge. Slinging a practice sword over her shoulder, Maria vows that she will not lose today. In the courtyard, the master challenges her to come at him with her full strength. Maria lunges forward fiercely, her sword a blur of motion in a powerful, sweeping attack. Their practice swords meet with a sharp clang, sparks flying from the forceful impact. She brings her sword down in a powerful overhead strike, her face a mask of concentration. With incredible speed, the master deftly sidesteps her attack, his movement fluid and precise. He blocks her next strike with ease, the force of the blow evident in the clash. Maria's hand trembles from the strain of the block, and she curses her inability to break through. She creates distance between them, panting as she moves across the vast courtyard. She expresses her deep frustration at struggling so much despite her potential as a knight. The unfatigued master smiles confidently and proposes they have one more match. His innocent challenge triggers a painful memory, and Maria's face fills with shock and anguish. A vision of a smiling young boy holding a practice sword appears in her mind. The boy eagerly pleads for one more match, his expression bright and full of innocent joy. In the present, Maria's face is a mask of horror as she whispers a pained please. A flashback begins with a younger, confident Maria introducing herself as a noble's daughter. She is seen happily sparring with a younger boy in the courtyard of a grand estate. The young boy calls out to her, pleading as she smiles down at him brightly. She remembers her father, an excellent knight, and her mother, who was strict but full of love. A younger Maria looks on with a soft, affectionate expression, recalling her idyllic past. Her memories turn to her adorable little brother, Orega, whom she doted on and protected. The happy memories fade to a somber scene in a dimly lit, sick-filled bedroom. Maria calls out to her mother, her voice filled with dread as she asks about her father and Orega. Her mother, crying, reveals that even powerful recovery magic is ineffective against their incurable disease. Maria reacts with horrified disbelief, her mind refusing to accept the devastating news. Clinging to a sliver of hope, she resolves that there must be something they can do to save them. She gazes at a framed photo of her once happy family, her determination solidifying. They borrowed money and sought expensive treatments with priests and potions, but to no avail. A desolate graveyard serves as a monument to her failure. Both her father and brother passed away. Maria stands alone, her back to the viewer, a dark shadow representing her profound grief. Her face is shown in a distorted close-up, reflecting the inner turmoil and shock of her loss. Collapsed on the ground, she recalls losing all her family members, leaving only a large debt. She decided against following her family in death, unwilling to repay the kindness of others with enmity. A flicker of her old resolve returns as she vows that there must be something she can do. The scene shifts to a modest, weathered house, a symbol of her family's fall from grace. An unseen voice asks if she is truly all right with the path she has chosen. She remembers the heirloom she was meant to inherit, the magnificent, magic-imbued, real sword Stella. She watches helplessly as the sword is taken, accepting that it cannot be helped. Despite selling everything, she couldn't repay the debt and was sold into slavery with other unfortunates. Her family's territory was returned to the country, and her life as a noble came to an end. The story snaps back to the present with a sharp, violent clash of practiced swords. Maria and Aprieto are locked in their intense mock battle in the grand courtyard. She recalls her first impression of Aprieto, thinking of him as an unpleasant child. He leaps with incredible agility, his movements swift and surprising as he presses his attack. Her expression shifts as she acknowledges that her feelings for him have since changed. She now finds her wounded, yet strong-willed master to be both saddening and lovable. Aprieto continues his assault, his face a mask of intense concentration and focus. Maria parries, her expression a mix of pain and determination as a lock of her hair is cut. The duel ends as Aprieto deftly disarms her, remarking that she is quite a handful. A single tear traces a path down her cheek as she stands defeated, her sword lost. The tear falls from her eye, a symbol of her mixed emotions of frustration and affection. They stand apart in the vast, empty courtyard after the conclusion of their intense match. Maria admits her 10th consecutive loss, doubting anyone could beat him in swordsmanship alone. Aprieto looks away, demurring that his father would easily surpass his current level of skill. He emphasizes his point with force, declaring that his father is a true monster. Maria is deeply troubled by this, realizing his father cannot be considered their ally. Aprieto wonders what his father was doing when the Ark family was condemned in the original story. He questions the narrative he knows, revealing his secret awareness of a predetermined fate. Maria watches him, lost in his heavy thoughts, her expression filled with concern. He snaps out of his reverie, apologizing for his distraction and suggesting they continue. Maria gently intervenes, suggesting a break on a nearby bench for her tired master. She reveals that she has brought a basket filled with neatly prepared snacks for them. Aprieto is caught off guard by her consideration, letting out a small, flustered sound. The scene shows a glimpse of the peaceful garden where they will have their respite. They sit together on the bench, a moment of quiet intimacy against the grand architecture. Maria offers him a sandwich, watching him eat with a fond and gentle smile. Aprieto wipes his mouth after finishing the snack, his expression still showing his fatigue. Maria holds a napkin, her expression one of deep, gentle care for her young master. Their eyes meet in a moment of quiet understanding, a bond forming between them. Seeing he is still tired, Maria kindly offers her lap as a pillow for him to rest. Two young noblemen stand together, one reassuring the other that everything is all right. A blonde maid with sparkling eyes murmurs in gentle agreement. A young man with sharp, dark hair watches with an intense and focused expression. The blonde maid offers a warm, blushing smile, her gaze soft. Staring back, the dark-haired youth's face flushes with surprise. Through a hazy filter, the maid's kind and gentle face is seen. A look of dawning realization crosses the young man's face as he understands the moment. Resting his head in her lap, he recalls this exact training event from the original story. From a distance, the group is seen relaxing together on a grand, sunlit balcony. The young master brings up the subject of the upcoming martial arts tournament in the capital. A maid with dog-like ears happily remarks on how delicious the day's sweets appear. Two other youths excitedly announce their intention to attend the tournament. A girl expresses certainty in his victory, but he flatly denies any plan to participate. The dog-eared maid, stunned by his words, lunges over the balcony railing. She tumbles through the air in a comical spinning motion. Landing safely, she dusts herself off, commenting on the close call. A blur of motion indicates an unseen, swift action has just occurred. A teacup hovers over his gloved hands, held aloft by an invisible force. His two companions can only stare in utter astonishment at the impossible sight. A cunning, confident smirk plays on the young master's lips. He announces his decision to have his maid, Wool, participate in his stead. Wool, the dog-eared maid, looks up in complete shock, holding her teacup. Her companions realize the master called her name, noting that everyone is now looking. Wool nervously questions her master, pointing out her own perceived weakness. Tears fill her eyes as she frets that she will only bring shame to her master. While sipping his tea, he calmly tells her not to worry. He reminds her that since he trained her, she won't lose to random people. Looking out from the grand estate, he lets out an exasperated sigh. He offers a reward of popular sweets if she can defeat the hero's descendant. At the tempting offer, her dog-like ears twitch with excitement. He raises the stakes, promising to buy her anything, and she eagerly accepts. Overcome with joy, she kneels on the floor, trembling with excitement. With a fanged grin, she declares her desire for new weapons and cute clothes. Her companions observe that she is already planning her victory. Her expression hardens with resolve. For her, winning means being the strongest. She vows to show her master her growth, strength, and usefulness. A close-up on her determined eye reveals her ultimate goal. Her master shouts encouragement, commanding her to win her desired rewards and sweets. She roars back in agreement, vowing to win so they can celebrate together. The next morning, a small bird chirps peacefully on a balcony railing. Sunlight streams into a lavish bedroom with a grand canopied bed. The young master stirs from sleep, murmuring as he rests his head on something. He remarks on the softness of what he's touching, his hand reaching out. Opening his eyes, he looks up from his comfortable resting place. The blonde maid, Maria Stella, wishes him good morning, asking where he learned such things. The master's face contorts in a mask of pure, flustered shock. He yells for her to get out, while she calmly states she will take responsibility. The scene shifts to the vast, stone-walled kitchen of the estate. The dog-eared maid, Uru, happily hums to herself while polishing a plate. The blonde maid, Maria, enters the kitchen, calling out Uru's name. Uru cheerfully greets Maria, confirming the master has returned to his room. Maria offers to help with the chores after hearing he went straight back after breakfast. Maria notes Uru's good mood, and Uru explains she received chocolate from their master. Uru gushes about the delicious sweetness, a taste she never would have known otherwise. Maria smiles, expressing her gladness that his breakfast went well. Uru's joy suddenly crumbles into tears as she wails that the master scolded her. A flashback shows Uru used her scout skill to eavesdrop on the master and Maria. Maria apologizes, her face filled with guilt as she admits it was her fault. Uru explains she was just worried, and Maria confirms she understands. Maria wistfully expresses her wish that their master would rely on them more. Her eyes fill with empathy as she wonders if this is his form of kindness. Maria learns from Uru that the master is planning a mock sword fight today. Uru, having just stopped by, excitedly exclaims that she wants to go too. With clenched fists, Uru declares she wants to become strong enough to protect him. Maria reminds Uru she sparred yesterday, gently suggesting she has other work. Taking charge, Maria states they should get their work done quickly. A flash of motion indicates Maria's resolve and swift action. With a practiced sword over her shoulder, Maria declares she won't lose today. In the courtyard, the master challenges her to come at him seriously. Maria lunges forward with a fierce cry, her sword a blur of motion. Their blades meet in a furious clash, sparks flying from the impacts. She brings her sword down in a powerful overhead strike. He effortlessly dodges, moving with incredible speed. Their swords clash again, the force of the impact resonating. Maria feels a tremor of strain in her hand, realizing she's being pushed back. She dashes backward to create distance, her form a blur of speed. Panting, she wonders how she, a promising knight, could be struggling so much. Her master, unfatigued, smiles and asks Maria for one more match. The request seems to trigger a painful memory for a woman watching. A memory of a smiling young boy holding a sword appears. The young boy eagerly pleads for one more match. Maria's face shows profound shock as she whispers the boy's name, Orega. She recalls her past, introducing herself as Maria Stella, born into nobility. A memory shows her happily sparring with a young boy in a courtyard. She remembers calling out to her brother Orega, her face bright with joy. She reminisces about her outstanding knight father and her loving mother. A fond memory of her younger self with her family comes to mind. She recalls her adorable brother Origa, who brought joy to their happy family. But this peaceful life was suddenly and tragically torn apart. She remembers standing in a dimly lit room where her father and brother lay ill. She asks her mother about their condition, her voice filled with dread. Her mother tearfully explains there is no cure, not even with healing magic. Maria reacts with horrified disbelief at the devastating news. Clinging to hope, she resolved that there must be something she could do. She gazed at a family portrait, determined to save her father and Orega. She desperately borrowed money, trying to cure the disease with priests and potions. But despite her efforts, they never returned, leaving her in a desolate graveyard. Standing alone, she faced the shadow of her former self in her loss. The shock and sorrow of her memories leave her reeling. Her world crumbled, having lost her family, with only a huge debt remaining. A memory of hands reaching for each other symbolizes a refusal to repay kindness with spite. A young woman with short hair resolves that she still has something she must accomplish. The exterior wall of a building is shown in a tall, narrow view. A rustic stone house appears as a voice wonders if this path is truly all right. An ornate sword is revealed as the treasured sword Stella, an heirloom imbued with unique magic. Before a man, she reluctantly agrees that surrendering the sword cannot be helped. A flashback reveals she was sold into slavery after her family's debt remained unsettled. Her face is hard with loss, mourning her kind family and her promised future as a knight. A dynamic sound effect illustrates the powerful and sharp clash of swords in a duel. A maid and a young boy spar with incredible intensity in a grand stone courtyard. The maid recalls initially thinking the boy was unpleasant, as he was her dead brother's age. Her young master, Absolute Arc, leaps agilely over her guard during their training. Her expression softens, revealing that her feelings towards him have since changed. She now feels both sorrow and love for the wounded master who tries to hide his pain. The boy attacks with a whoosh of speed, his concentration absolute during the fight. The maid gasps as a single precise cut severs a strand of her hair. With a final powerful strike, the boy disarms her, wondering why she is crying so much. A single tear traces a path down the cheek of the defeated maid Maria. Abstract, sharp lines convey the emotional turmoil and aftermath of the intense duel. The two small figures stand alone in the vast, empty courtyard after their sparring match. Maria laments her 10th consecutive loss, wondering aloud if anyone could defeat her master. Her master expresses uncertainty, believing his father could easily surpass his own skill level. He turns to Maria, declaring with conviction that his father is a true monster of power. Troubled by this, Maria thinks his father's loyalty to the royals makes him an unreliable ally. The boy mutters to himself, worried that his father might become hostile in the future. His thoughts reveal a strange knowledge of an original work, a story he seems to know. The boy stands with his maid in the courtyard, their training session momentarily paused. Snapping out of his thoughts, he apologizes and suggests they continue their sparring. Maria gently intervenes, noticing his fatigue and suggesting they take a break on a nearby bench. From a wicker basket, she reveals a light meal she has prepared for their rest. The boy looks surprised as his stomach lets out an audible growl of hunger. A narrow panel shows the lush greenery surrounding the bench where they will take their break. The two sit together on the bench, sharing a moment of quiet respite from their training. Maria watches with a fond, loving smile as her master eats the sandwich she offered. He takes a bite, his expression focused on the simple meal she has prepared. She holds a cloth, ready to attend to him after he finishes his food. The two share a quiet moment, their expressions showing a comfortable and growing familiarity. Seeing he is still tired, she offers her lap for him to use as a pillow to rest. Flustered and embarrassed, the boy adamantly refuses, trying to pull away from her gentle grasp. She ignores his protests, her sparkling eyes and soft hum leaving no room for argument. A close-up shows her gentle, blushing smile as she tenderly cares for him. The boy's face is flushed with shock and embarrassment at her forward and caring gesture. The maid's gaze is soft and full of affection as she looks down at him. He murmurs in surprise, a look of dawning recognition on his face. Lying on her lap, he realizes this is the training event from the original work. On a grand terrace, the boy and two maids enjoy an elegant afternoon tea together. The boy brings up the topic of the upcoming martial arts tournament in the royal capital. A young maid with dog-like ears seems more interested in the delicious-looking sweets. Two other young nobles listen, understanding the implication of his words. He casually tosses a teacup, declaring he won't go, but that Absolute Sama will win. The dog-eared maid comically rolls across the floor in a desperate, acrobatic dive. She lunges forward with wide eyes, her hands outstretched to catch a falling teapot. Recovering with a flutter, she holds a teacup and remarks that her save was a close call. The other two young nobles stare in utter shock at the chaotic scene. A close-up reveals the boy's sharp eye and a cunning, knowing smirk. He looks at the dog-eared maid, Uru, and announces that she will participate instead. Uru looks up from her teacup, her expression one of complete and utter shock. The other nobles confirm that everyone is indeed looking at Uru, waiting for her reaction. Uru stammers, asking her master if he truly intends for her to go to the tournament. Tears well in her eyes as she insists she is too weak and will only bring him shame. Her master calmly sips his tea, dismissing her fears as an unnecessary worry. He reminds her that she spars with him and won't lose to some random competitor. He begins to lay out a tantalizing incentive for her participation in the tournament. He promises to treat her to a popular dessert if she defeats the hero's descendant. Uru's distinctive dog-like ears twitch with excitement at the mention of the sweet reward. He ups the stakes, promising to buy her anything she wants if she becomes champion. Uru bounces on her knees, completely won over by his generous and exciting offer. With a huge fanged grin, she excitedly declares she wants a new weapon and cute clothes. Another youth observes that Uru already seems to think she has won the tournament. Uru's expression hardens with resolve, believing victory is the ultimate sign of strength. She is determined to show her master how strong and useful she can become. A close-up on her eye reveals a fierce, unwavering determination to succeed for him. Her master shouts encouragement, telling her to defeat the brave and claim her desires. Uru yells back, promising she will definitely win so they can celebrate together. At the Grand Marquis Mirai estate, a voice calls out for someone named Alicia. Alicia Mirai tells her father that hero Arto is likely slacking off somewhere again. Her father calls her a fool, her face contorting in frustration and disappointment. He begins a lecture stating the hero's skill is the most powerful one from God. He explains that those with the skill are expected to protect the nation in the future. The Marquis sighs, lamenting that Arto needs to be more aware of his responsibilities. Alicia thinks to herself that this turn of events is perfect timing for something. A shadowy figure runs along a festive street decorated with colorful banners. A group approaches the Grand Martial Arts Tournament arena in the capital. An enthusiastic young man, Arto, pulls his companion Alicia toward the arena. Alicia complains that she gets scolded because he never takes things seriously. Arto proudly declares he is a hero whose job is to fight, not study. Alicia mutters that the hero's skill is worthless if a fool is using it. She worries that her father told Arto to win as if it were an easy task. Arto casually asks Alicia if she knows of any strong opponents in the tournament. Alicia mentions she heard a rumor that someone from the Ark family will participate. She elaborates that the Ark family is connected to the underworld and acts with impunity. Arto's face breaks into a wide smile, finding the prospect of such a fight exciting. Alicia shivers with dread at his reckless enthusiasm for the dangerous matchup. An official directs Lord Arto to the waiting room for the Under-15 division. Another official reminds the contestants that magic is forbidden, only skills and weapons are allowed. The official points toward the waiting room, instructing the competitors to proceed. Arto tells Alicia he is off, and she agrees to watch from the stands. Alicia nervously wishes Arto good luck as he stands ready for his match. From behind, Arto vows to take down the Ark family as the hero. Alicia clasps her hands, hoping that everything will turn out all right. A light-haired young man smirks, vowing that all the bad guys will be wiped out. The intense gaze of a dark-haired youth, Lord Apriuto, is revealed in a close-up. Seated with two companions, Apriuto confidently crosses his arms, stating he has it figured out. The girl with twin tails cheerfully offers Apriuto a glass of water she proudly prepared. His expression shifts to one of suspicion as he questions her claim of making it herself. Apriuto's mind races with unsettling thoughts about her bizarre behavior for a noble lady. Deciding to be cautious, he agrees to take the water, requesting it at room temperature. Holding a goblet, the girl swirls the water inside as she presents it to him. She offers the freshly prepared water with a radiant, almost overwhelmingly happy smile. He takes a tentative sip, acknowledging that it is, as she initially claimed, just water. Turning away from her, he remarks that the water tastes surprisingly good. The girl blushes furiously, sweating and flustered by his simple, positive remark. Apriuto clarifies that his own water magic tends to make it taste better than usual. He then turns to his other companion, Chris, offering him a taste of the water. Chris reacts in shock, questioning the water, but Apriuto angrily commands him to be quiet. Their attention is drawn away as Chris excitedly points toward the arena, telling Apriuto to look. A lone fighter, Wool, is seen entering the vast stone-paved arena far below. The twin-tailed girl curiously asks about the claw-like weapon Wool appears to be wearing. Standing ready, Wool reveals she has no claws and is fighting practically barehanded. Apruto's sharp gaze focuses as he explains Wool's greatest strength lies in her overwhelming speed. He elaborates that they designed equipment for powerful punches since long weapons don't suit her. His companions look on, the girl clearly impressed by Apruto's strategic foresight. Chris, however, voices his concern, worrying that Wool might lack a decisive move. Apruto reveals he banned her Beastman transformation, as hiding a trump card is basic strategy. He confidently tells them to just watch, stating she has grown far stronger under his tutelage. In the arena, her opponent, a blonde youth with a sword, stands ready for the match. Wool's determined gaze locks onto her opponent, her mind set on the fight ahead. As the match begins, she instantly dodges her opponent's swift sword strike. A close-up shows Apruto's calm, analytical eye observing the fight's opening moments. Wool moves like a phantom, her form blurring as she evades with incredible agility. Chris is stunned by her movements, exclaiming in awe at her incredible speed. From a high angle, Wool easily outmaneuvers her opponent, who cannot seem to keep up. Apruto smirks knowingly, stroking his chin as he watches the lopsided battle unfold. An image of a wolf appears beside Wool, symbolizing her patient, predatory stance. She closes the distance in an instant, preparing to strike the unsuspecting blonde fighter. Apruto remarks on the profound beauty of a beastman giving in to their wild instincts. Her reinforced fist connects with a devastating impact, ending the match in a flash. The blonde fighter lies defeated on the arena floor as Wool stands victorious over him. Chris can only stare in disbelief, muttering that it was a complete and utter victory. Wool kneels shyly as her companions praise her and apologize for their misjudgment. Watching her, Apruto thinks with a proud smile that she was the one who fought and won. He then asks if the hero's match is next, and his companion confirms it is. Apruto's expression becomes serious, his face cast in shadow as he contemplates this. He recalls the hero's power from the original story, defeating a higher-ranked being. With a confident smirk, he decides it's time to see what this hero has got. In the arena, the hero, Arto, taunts his next opponent with overbearing arrogance. He charges forward, eager to prove his strength in the ensuing fight. The two fighters clash swords in a flurry of motion, the crowd a blur behind them. Apruto watches silently, his hand to his chin in deep critical thought. He asks Chris if the boy is truly the hero, and Chris confirms that he is. Apruto observes with a critical eye, noting that the hero seems to be struggling. He assesses that the hero is not using his skill effectively, making his combat sense poor. The group watches impassively from their box as the fight continues in the arena. Arto wins his match, leaving his opponent sprawled on the ground below. Chris smiles, speculating that Arto simply lacks real combat experience compared to them. A close-up on Apruto's sharp eye suggests a cunning plan is beginning to form. Chris imagines the hero handling the Ark family's dirty work to gain experience. He gazes out at the Colosseum, wondering what the country's leaders are truly thinking. Arto walks down a stone corridor, ready for the Under-15 tournament finals. He reflects on his journey, feeling proud to have made it this far in the competition. Smugly, he thinks that despite strong opponents, none were a true match for him. Facing the arena entrance, he vows to win and become champion, telling Alicia to watch. A brilliant flash of white light signals the start of the anticipated final match. The vast Colosseum is shown, where Arto vows to return as a decorated hero. Wool glares with fierce determination, her small fangs visible in a slight snarl. Arto looks on with a confident smirk, expecting an easy and glorious victory. The two finalists stand ready in the massive arena as the crowd watches intently. Their faces are shown in an intense close-up as the final match officially begins. Wool lunges forward with explosive energy, starting her attack without hesitation. Arto stands ready, sword in hand, as the announcer signals the start of the match. After dodging his first strike, Arto calls out, asking if she is from the Ark family. Wool seems momentarily taken aback by his direct question, pausing her assault. She earnestly declares that this fight is for her master, leaving Arto confused. Her expression transforms into one of predatory glee as she licks her sharp fangs. Arto's eyes widen in shock at her intense and unexpectedly fierce gaze. He wonders what kind of horrible, grueling training the Ark family subjected her to. He presses his questioning, asking if they ordered her to enter the tournament. Wool reveals her simple motivation. If she wins the match, she gets a delicious meal. With that, she explodes into motion once more, ready to continue her fight. She snarls that she has no time for this and launches a powerful, direct attack. Arto's hand trembles from the force of her blow, which he barely manages to block. He realizes with horror that she might be starved, which only fuels his growing anger. He silently curses the Ark family, vowing that he will never forgive them. The fight becomes a whirlwind of motion, a blur of attacks and desperate parries. Arto struggles, admitting to himself that he can barely keep up with her incredible speed. Wool continues her relentless assault, giving him no room to breathe or recover. The two fighters are locked in intense combat, their faces showing the immense strain. She delivers a powerful kick, sending his sword flying from his grasp with a clang. Wounded and frustrated, he refuses to be underestimated by such a small girl. Arto lets out a tremendous battle cry, preparing to unleash his full power. His attack meets only empty air as he looks around, wondering where she has gone. From the stands, his companion Alicia cries out a desperate warning to look below. Arto is sent hurtling through the air by a powerful, unseen blow from an odd angle. Alicia screams in horror as she watches him fall helplessly toward the stone floor. In their box, Apriyuto smirks with satisfaction while Chris looks on in utter shock. Wool is revealed to have run along the Colosseum wall to launch her surprise attack. Arto's body is shown flying limply through the air just before the final impact. He lands with a sickening thud, defeated, as Wool stands calmly over him. A close-up shows his pained and unconscious face, marking his total defeat. In the stands, Arto's friends and companions can only stare with wide-eyed shock. A close-up reveals a boy's face, his mouth open in surprise. In a vast Colosseum, a young girl with beast-like ears stands happily. She thinks excitedly about the sweets she will enjoy after her victory. Elsewhere, a young woman named Alicia lets out a weary sigh of exasperation. The Grand Colosseum is shown, the sound of a roaring crowd filling the air. From a private box, Prudo and his companions observe the arena below. The aftermath of the battle shows the girl standing over her defeated blonde opponent. In the viewing box, a girl with twin tails comments on the outcome to a stunned Chris. He can only mutter in disbelief that their fighter actually won the match. Prudo calmly assesses that, while the hero's skills were notable, the wielder was weak. The victor's thoughts confirm she knew to overwhelm him before he could land a hit. With a confident smile, Prudo concludes that at this stage, Wool is simply stronger. Their group walks down a stark stone corridor, leaving the arena behind. Apriyuto recalls from the original story that the hero lacked a true fighter's instinct. He resolves that they must monitor the hero, as a closer power level could have meant defeat. Wool comes bounding towards them, joyfully announcing her return and her readiness for sweets. Her master, Apriyuto, turns to greet her with a gentle, knowing smile. He affectionately pats her head, praising her for doing well and promising a proper reward. Looking up at him, Wool's eyes shine with pure adoration and gratitude. He tells her they can go now and that she doesn't have to hold back. In a stone-walled room, Alicia sits vigilantly by the bedside of the unconscious Arto. She stares in disbelief, unable to process that even the hero lost. The defeated Arto lies still, the aftermath of the fight visible on his face. Alicia hopes this defeat teaches him that raw power alone is not enough to win. She sits quietly, watching over her companion as he rests and recovers. Clutching her head, she laments the unfairness of being scolded for his mistakes. She bitterly recalls that it was her father who decided to take in the hero. Arto finally awakens, and Alicia rushes to his side to ask how he feels. A flicker of consciousness returns to Arto's eyes as he slowly wakes. Staring at the ceiling, he numbly accepts the reality that he lost the match. Alicia confirms his defeat, then asks if he learned anything from the experience. With a clenched fist, Arto declares to Alicia that he has made a decision. A hopeful Alicia remembers believing he would one day understand his duty as a hero. His face twisted in fury, Arto instead vows to crush the entire Ark family. She is left utterly speechless, only able to whisper a confused "what?" He recalls Wool's fierce fighting, convinced nobles who enslaved children shouldn't exist. Pounding his fist, he declares that the rumors are true, the Ark family are scum. Alicia is completely stunned by the sheer intensity of his newfound rage. She tries to reason with him, warning that it is reckless to challenge high-ranking nobles. Desperately, she asks if he is listening, warning that her own family will suffer. Ignoring her pleas, Arto brightly suggests they take down the Ark family together. He admits his frustration, knowing he can't win alone but feels he can with her. Exploding in outrage, Alicia tells him not to joke around. She jabs a finger at him, refusing to ally based on such baseless claims. Her conditions are laid out: provide a reason for the royals and gather an army. Only then, she proclaims, will she offer her support to his cause. Through tears, she begs him to stop, fearing her family will be destroyed. Arto looks at her, a strange flicker of understanding in his eyes. He draws his sword with a decisive sound, stating that he understands. He completely misinterprets her, believing she wants him to gather an army to crush them. With a confident grin, he proclaims to Alicia that he will do it. A close-up reveals his unnervingly determined smile as he makes his vow. Alicia is struck with absolute horror at his catastrophic misunderstanding. At the Grand Ark Mansion, a report is being made regarding Prince Michael. Apruto learns that the prince wants Wool to be brought to the royal castle. He recalls the petulant blonde boy from a past party with clear disdain. Apruto remembers that in the story, Michael supports the hero, making him a threat. He finds Wool, informing her that Prince Michael has summoned them. Wool immediately panics, fearing she has done something wrong and will be killed. Apruto tries to calm her, guessing the prince simply wants to recruit her. Her fear shifts to abandonment as she asks with tearful eyes if her master hates her. She is overcome with emotion, her heart pounding with anxiety. Apruto stands firm, promising her not to worry and that he won't let her go. He empowers her to refuse the prince, vowing to protect her with all his might. Looking down at her gently, he states that she belongs to him after all. Wool looks up, her face a picture of pure adoration and loyalty. They walk down the hall together, a united front against the royal summons. Tears stream down Wool's face as she affirms her complete devotion to her master. At the royal castle, Prince Michael welcomes Apruto and, with condescension, slave Wool. The Prince Michael Linana invites them to sit with a smug smile. Apruto's gaze is sharp and wary as he acknowledges the prince. Upon being seated, he immediately questions the large number of guards present. The room is indeed filled with guards, creating a tense and intimidating atmosphere. The prince waves it off, claiming it's a necessary precaution for a future king. Wool glares, her teeth gritted in annoyance at the prince's arrogant attitude. Apruto places a calming hand on her shoulder, indicating he understands the situation. A guard captain menacingly states their business will be over quickly if they comply. Apruto's eye narrows, sensing the true hostile nature of this meeting. The prince points directly at Wool, demanding that Apruto give him his slave. With a sharp tone, Apruto delivers an unequivocal refusal. He asks if that is all, then announces their immediate intention to leave. A sword blade flashes in front of him as he begins to rise from his seat. The royal guards draw their swords in unison, forming a barrier to block their exit. Apruto's expression transforms into one of cold, simmering fury. He demands to know what they are doing and why they have drawn their swords. A guard stands ready to strike, his sword aimed at the seated noble. The guard's faces a menacing grin from behind his ornate helmet. Apruto issues a stark warning, telling them to sheathe their swords before it's too late. The prince covers his mouth, letting out a soft, mocking laugh at the threat. Spreading his arms wide, he crows that he can't believe the Arcs are so foolish. He taunts Apruto, asking what he can possibly do against so many guards. Apruto's eyes glint with cold anger as he states a fool like the prince needs a lesson. The prince turns to Wool, offering to spare her if she comes to his side. With a fierce, protective grip, Wool grabs onto Apruto's arm. She snarls that she belongs to her master, who will never lose to them. The prince's face contorts in rage as he shouts for them to get lost and die. He clutches his head, comically declaring that both master and slave seem to want to die. He lays out the storyline, claiming they will be killed for treason against him. His face is a mask of crazed fury as he shouts his final command. The guards respond with a unified yes and surge forward to kill them both. Royal guards are suddenly ensnared by swirling black tendrils, expressing their utter shock. A terrified Prince Michael recoils, screaming in confusion at the unfolding chaos. Apruto calmly instructs his maid Wool to flee and report a fabricated story. The guards remain completely helpless, their swords useless as the dark magic binds them. A close-up reveals Apruto's sharp, focused gaze, showing his cold determination. With a swift, blurred motion, Apruto effortlessly disarms one of the ensnared soldiers. The floor is left littered with the mangled, bleeding hands of the defeated guards. More soldiers are shown, their forms distorted and trapped by the swirling shadow substance. Standing amidst the chaos, Apruto quietly reminds them that he had warned them. His face a mask of cold fury, he declares there will not be a second time. Apruto stands over a shattered table, approaching the prince after their violent confrontation. A terrified Prince Michael holds up his hand, pleading for Apruto Arc to wait. Apruto takes a slow, menacing step forward, the sound echoing in the room. The prince questions Apruto's actions, disbelieving he would kill an heir for a slave. With a mocking expression, Apruto pretends he cannot hear the prince's words. The prince's face contorts in a silent snarl of pure, seething frustration. His composure shatters as he screams his hatred for Apruto's attitude and existence. Lunging forward in a blind rage, Michael declares that Apruto is an eyesore. Apruto remains unnervingly calm, simply pointing a finger and acknowledging the outburst. Unleashing his King's Dominion skill, he asks if the prince knows what comes next. An invisible force slams into the wall beside Apruto, signifying his immense power. Prince Michael gasps for air, his hands clawing at his throat as he's choked. Just then, the grand doors burst open as a commanding voice shouts for it to end. A distinguished man in a military uniform roars for both sides to drop their swords. Apruto's demeanor shifts instantly to a polite smile as he greets His Majesty. The king is horrified, wondering about Apruto's terrifying true intentions. Apruto imagines a fabricated story where the royal guards kill the prince themselves. He coolly explains that this would be the version of events he would tell. The memory of the guards being ordered to kill them flashes through his mind. The king stares intently at a holographic projection replaying the violent confrontation. He asks what he is watching, his face etched with confusion and concern. Apruto calmly explains he recorded the incident with a magic tool just in case. The king sits stiffly, his arms crossed in deep displeasure and frustration. In the tense room, the king formally addresses Apruto Ark by name. With a deep sigh, the king offers a formal apology for what has happened. He laments that his family's loyalty was repaid with such a violent attack. Apruto's eyes harden as he demands to know if this was a royal decision. The king trembles, startled and pressured by the gravity of the ultimatum. A faint, knowing smirk plays on Apruto's lips as he watches the king squirm. The sweating king vehemently denies it was a plot, blaming his son's rampage. He questions if cutting off a guard's arm wasn't an excessive response. Apruto coolly retorts that it was a clear case of self-defense against an attack. He then deftly shifts the blame, arguing the guards should have stopped the prince. Now seated comfortably, Apruto asks what the royal family will do now. He demands to know how the royal family plans to take responsibility for this. Apruto begins to lay out his terms, starting with compensation and house arrest. He clenches his fist, adding weight to his question of how they will respond. He lists the prince's crimes, noting they would normally lead to life in a dungeon. The king explodes in outrage as Apruto demands Michael be removed as heir. He pleads for reconsideration, explaining that Michael is his only son. Apruto slyly counters that the king does, in fact, have another option. He brings up the existence of Princess Haniel as a potential solution. He suggests Haniel could marry, and her husband could become the new crown prince. The king concedes that Haniel is indeed more capable than her brother Michael. However, he reveals the tragic complication that the princess is blind. Apruto dismisses this, stating it's a problem for the king's advisors to solve. He reiterates his unyielding demands for compensation and Michael's removal as heir. He looks the king in the eye, stating that the decision is his to make. The scene shifts to a grand, sun-drenched glass conservatory filled with plants. Inside, Apruto and Wool relax on plush sofas, an air of tranquility between them. Wool's eyes sparkle with pure, unadulterated joy at the sight before her. A magnificent strawberry shortcake sits on the table, her compensation from the king. Her blissful mood shifts as she looks at her master with a serious expression. She asks him a question that has been weighing on her. Why did he protect her? Wool voices her concern, wondering if making an enemy of the prince is wise. Apruto confirms her fears, stating it's like making an enemy of the whole kingdom. But he explains that the royal family threatened them first by trying to take her. A memory flashes of the prince shouting, "That's enough nonsense," sparking the conflict. He speaks with ancient pride of the Ark family's long rule over their territory. Wool listens, her expression a mixture of awe and dawning understanding. He declares it is his duty as her superior to protect her from any threat. With a warm smile, he adds that the Ark family has enemies everywhere anyway. He concludes that gaining one more powerful enemy is nothing new to them. His words trigger a painful memory, and Wool's eyes widen in shock. The scene dissolves into a cold, moonlit night in a snow-covered forest. A cruel voice from her past echoes, telling her she was discarded for being weak. She recalls the harsh culture of the wolf tribe, where only strength is valued. A memory shows her as a lonely child, ostracized and abandoned by her own people. Her weakness led to her being sold into slavery, shackled and treated as worthless. But she remembers Apruto kneeling to help her after she shattered some dishes. He gave her everything: a home, food, power, protection, and a feeling of warmth. With tears in her eyes, she vows that she would gladly die to protect him. Her face breaks into a radiant, joyful grin, her small fangs peeking out. Apruto gently tells her he is not so weak that he needs her sacrifice. Overcome with happiness and loyalty, she eagerly agrees with her master. The scene shifts to an imposing, Gothic-style government building under a clear sky. In a vast throne room, Prince Michael kneels before the king and his aide. The king asks his son if he understands the gravity of what he has done. Michael remains defiant, blaming Apruto and claiming he had no other choice. The king's aide presents the holographic footage, questioning Michael's story. Michael's defiant expression shatters into pure shock and disbelief at the evidence. The aide informs him the footage is from Apruto and that he's acted irreversibly. A memory reveals Michael's past tantrums, always blaming Apruto for his problems. Back in the present, Michael rages that he only wanted to teach him a lesson. The king looks on with deep disappointment, reminding his son of his warnings. Michael refuses to accept his guilt, insisting the Ark family is the victim. His patience exhausted, the king delivers his sentence. Michael must step down. Michael is aghast as his father coldly tells him to be grateful for this mercy. Kneeling in defeat, he screams that having to step down as crown prince is ridiculous. A narrow path to redemption is offered. Apologize and show the nobles the footage. An elderly king with a grand mustache states that a certain action would spell doom for the royal family. Prince Michael, a young blonde noble, stammers a protest as he is sharply ordered to reflect and leave. The king's face is a mask of stern authority as he asks his son if he failed to hear the command. Defeated, Michael turns away with a clenched fist, meekly asking to be excused. From Michael's departing perspective, the king and an aide watch from the distant throne. Alone, the king slumps in his chair, lamenting his son's childishness and unexpected recklessness. His advisors approach, discussing the new crisis, how to handle making Haniel the crown princess. The king listens thoughtfully, his hand to his chin, as an elderly advisor stands beside him. The spectacled advisor makes a bold suggestion to engage Princess Haniel to a member of the Ark family. Another official weighs the political fallout, noting that angering the Arks is more dangerous than opposing Duke Zen. The first advisor frames the marriage alliance as a just reward for the Ark family, but is swiftly interrupted. 5 years later, the story moves to the grand and imposing Ark family mansion. Within the courtyard, a fierce and dynamic sword sparring session is in full swing. A young woman in practical combat gear leans on her sword, conceding her defeat. This is 20-year-old Maria Stella, who smiles, admitting she hasn't been able to keep up lately. Her face flushes with adoration as she thinks how wonderful her opponent is, despite her own frustration. A younger girl with dark dog-ear styled hair runs up, excitedly declaring it is her turn. Identified as 13-year-old Wool, she eagerly asks to spar with her master next. She directs her enthusiastic plea towards a young man standing with his back to her. A confident 15-year-old Lord Apruto Ark holds his practice sword, ready for any challenger. A title card formally identifies the handsome young man as Apruto Ark, age 15. Later, in a steamy bath, Apruto muses that quiet contemplation is a necessary ritual for a villainous aristocrat. Now 15, he runs a hand through his wet hair, lost in thought. Having reached this pivotal age, he holds his sword, his expression one of grim readiness. He realizes that with his impending entrance to the academy, the original story will finally begin. Maria enters the bathroom, wrapped only in a towel, and offers to wash her master's back. Visibly annoyed, Apruto bluntly informs her that her assistance is not necessary. Maria looks slightly dejected, asking if he has already finished washing by himself. He reminds her of his preference for bathing alone, but she insists she will wash his back anyway. With a soft splash, she steps into the large tub as he watches with irritation. She leans in close, her expression playful as she suggests it's okay for him to be a little naughty. From the side, a tiny scandalized Wool peeks in, whispering about how lewd the situation is. Maria explains that she wants to provide extra care for him before his important day tomorrow. Wool pops up to offer her own help, but Apruto shouts for them not to cling to him. The scene shifts to a grand hall, where the blades of father and son are crossed in a fated duel. Apruto's father explains their family's unique spirit-summoning magic, a power from the Spirit King. His son listens with a grave expression as the dark inheritance method is revealed. The rite requires killing the current owner and stealing the spirit crest embedded in their body. His father declares he won't die without a fight and commands Apruto to prepare himself. A close-up on Apruto's eye shows his sharp focus, ready for the coming battle. With his hair tied back, Apruto announces to his father that he is prepared for the duel. Varen reflects that, in the original story, he was already dead by this point due to the inheritance. Standing opposite his son, he recalls that their last spar was when Apruto was only 10. Apruto's expression is a mask of grim determination as the fated battle is about to begin. His father's gaze is equally intense, his features sharp and focused on his opponent. Viren explodes into motion, a blur of dark energy rushing toward his son. With a confident smirk, he unleashes his powerful and terrifying Dark Hole spell. From the void, shadowy, clawed hands erupt from the ground, reaching for Apruto. Viren stands calmly amidst the encroaching darkness, the master of the chaotic spell. Apruto unleashes a counterattack, a powerful black flame slash from his own sword. The dark energy slams into the hall's floor, shattering the pristine tiles with immense force. Apruto is stunned, realizing his own level exceeds 90, yet he is clearly outmatched. He recalls that in the original story, very few characters ever surpassed level 50. He concludes that his father's power certainly and shockingly exceeds that incredible threshold. From across the hall, Viran acknowledges his son's strength, even from a parent's perspective. He explains that the true difference between them is his vast experience in life or death situations. Declaring that it is now his turn to attack, Viran launches himself forward with explosive speed. Their swords meet in a deafening clash, the impact sending a shower of sparks into the air. Apruto grits his teeth, his face a mask of effort as he strains to hold back his father's blow. Viran seamlessly transitions his attack, sweeping Apruto's legs out from under him. He looks on with a hint of surprise, remarking that his son actually managed to block the strike. Apruto's eyes widen in alarm as he anticipates the next move in the high-speed duel. Viran leaps into the air, bringing his sword down in a devastatingly powerful arc. Apruto dodges just in time, leaping backward to narrowly avoid the point of impact. Viran roars a challenge as he unleashes the powerful downward strike upon his son. The attack misses Apruto, but strikes the massive door behind him, shattering its surface. Apruto lands, his eyes wide with a new profound understanding of his father's true power. Catching his breath, he steadies himself in a low stance after the incredibly close call. He realizes with awe that this is the man who has protected their kingdom from the shadows for years. Viran roars that they are just getting started, his energy and determination undiminished. A new fire ignites in Apruto's eyes as he decides it's time for him to get serious as well. The renewed assault is blindingly fast, its speed catching Apruto completely by surprise. A powerful blow connects, sending Apruto staggering backward with a pained grunt. Another devastating strike sends him crashing hard against the unforgiving stone floor. Viran's face is beaded with sweat from the exertion, his eyes fixed intently on his downed son. Apruto looks up in horror as his father raises his sword for what appears to be a final blow. Viran stands over his son, his sword poised to deliver the decisive finishing strike. The blade slams into the floor, exploding the tiles just inches from Apruto's head. The tip of Viran's sword rests mere moments from his son's face. The duel concluded. Apruto stares up, his eyes wide with a mixture of terror and adrenaline at the near-fatal blow. Viran's intense expression breaks into a proud, weary smile as he praises his son's newfound strength. Apruto pushes himself back to his feet, his gaze filled with exhaustion and unwavering determination. He rises amidst the wreckage of the hall, facing his father across the destroyed floor. Apruto stands silently for a moment, his expression unreadable after the intense fight. His father stands amidst the rubble, his arm held as if injured from their powerful exchange. Viran roars that this is the final blow and commands his son to surpass him. He invokes his unique magic, spirit summoning, calling forth the legendary spirit of creation. A single shimmering drop of liquid falls from Apruto's fingertips as he watches the summoning. A beautiful armored woman with long, flowing hair materializes, floating as if in a peaceful slumber. A glimpse of another woman's eyes reveals a cold thought. This is necessary for a villainous aristocrat. Apruto's expression turns cold and resolute as he unleashes his own dark hole spell. The aftermath of their battle is a chaotic blur of destructive energy and swirling darkness. The scene transitions to the quiet, sunlit interior of a room with large curtained windows. Later, father and son sit opposite each other in a quiet, book-lined study. Viran, his torso heavily bandaged, asks his son why he saved him from certain death. Apruto looks out the window, his profile silhouetted as he quietly considers his answer. He poses a question back, asking if it isn't too cruel for his father to die for the country. He turns and declares that he does not want power gained by sacrificing his own father. He reflects that the original Apruto wouldn't have hesitated to kill for this power. Viran points out the inescapable flaw in his plan, questioning how he can contract the spirit without his death. With calm resolve, Apruto states he has already devised a solution to their problem. A brief transitional panel marks the shift in their intense conversation. He formally asks his father to summon a spirit for him to form a contract with. This act, he proposes, will serve as their unconventional inheritance ceremony. He clarifies his plan to inherit his father's unique magic only after his natural death. His father's intense gaze reveals his thoughts on the enormous power needed for such a feat. With a thoughtful expression, he voices his confidence in his son's capabilities. A confident smirk crosses Apruto's face as he frames the trial with a simple rule. His father explains that he can summon 3 of the 12 high-ranking spirits. He asks if his son is prepared, and Apruto firmly accepts the challenge. Standing resolute, Apruto's eyes are wide with anticipation as a wind whips his hair. A beautiful, ethereal girl with a flower crown and long hair materializes from a radiant light. The father identifies the summoned being as the powerful spirit of devotion. He elaborates on her support-based abilities, including range expansion and physical enhancement. Apruto addresses the spirit directly, asking for her name as she gazes at him curiously. His father interjects, explaining that spirits can understand but cannot speak in the human world. Taking charge, Apruto bestows upon the spirit the name Toa, making her smile radiantly. He then tests their new bond by asking To if she can become smaller. The tiny spirit hovers near his shoulder, seemingly whispering his name in acknowledgement. His father declares that although it was not a proper inheritance, he has gained a spirit's power. With a triumphant grin, Apruto humbly accepts his future as the head of the Ark family. Years later, the story shifts to the grand and imposing royal castle of the Lanana kingdom. A blonde, mustachioed man extends a hand, expressing his immense relief at seeing someone alive. The recipient of the greeting responds with dark cynicism, stating he just failed to die. The two men, Apruto and the king, shake hands in a formal but tense reunion. Seated, the king expresses his disbelief that Apruto survived an ordeal that even killed his father. The king praises the Ark family's unparalleled contributions and his friendship with Apruto. With a stoic expression, Apruto listens as the king declares his sincere happiness for his survival. The king wistfully wishes his sons, Michael and Viran, could get along with Apruto. He laments that Apruto is too exceptional, which likely fuels his son's insecurities. An image of a furious Michael shows his inferiority complex makes a good relationship impossible. The king then changes the subject, proposing an engagement between Apruto and his daughter, Hanyo. The proposition is met with a sudden loud burst of laughter from a startled Apruto. He sarcastically apologizes, saying he forgot because he was planning to die soon anyway. The king looks downcast, admitting he planned to leave all the dirty work to Apruto. Apruto's sharp gaze reveals he knows the king thinks he's tired of this secret work. The king worries that when Apruto becomes head, he'll no longer work for the crown. Apruto confirms this, stating that behind-the-scenes work ends unless he is sufficiently rewarded. The scene shifts to the magnificent and sprawling campus of the Lanana Royal Academy. A view of a European-style city street with an elegant sky bridge sets the new scene. An ornate, horse-drawn carriage arrives at a grand, institutional-looking building. A footman opens the carriage door, wishing Lord Apruto a good day. From within, Apruto confidently confirms he will have a good day. He walks along a cobblestone path, leading his 4 loyal followers, including To. The impressive architecture of the academy, featuring a prominent clock tower, looms above. Apruto's group gathers in a courtyard to discuss the upcoming entrance exam. A light-haired boy explains the tests and the resulting AD class division. He warns everyone to be careful not to tarnish their lord's name, given the other important attendees. The boy turns to Apruto, about to make a formal plea for his performance. Apruto cuts him off, commanding his followers to simply do their best, which they affirm. Walking the halls, the boy points out a serene woman in a nun's habit, identifying her as the saint. Apruto's gaze sharpens as he observes the woman identified as the saint. A close-up on Apruto's eyes shows his intense focus and recognition. The boy remarks with a slight blush on the mysterious aura surrounding the saint. Apruto's internal thoughts identify her as Elizabeth the Saintess, an original heroine. He recalls her role in the story, using healing and incitement to support the hero. Her smiling, composed figure is highlighted as a key player operating from the shadows. He assesses her as naive but as dangerous as the hero due to her sheltered life. He resolves to do something to influence her before she allies with the hero. His attention is then drawn to Lady Alicia, the hero's fiancée, who is alone. A close-up on Alicia's face shows her looking slightly worried or lost. His retainer explains that the hero is exempt from the exam and won't be present. Apruto recalls the hero is a commoner who will enter via recommendation. He sighs, predicting that Alicia will have a difficult time being pushed around at the academy. An examiner addresses the gathered examinees on a grand staircase. He announces that they will now engage in one-on-one mock battles. The rules are explained. The match ends when an opponent is out of bounds or stopped. The students are instructed to wait until their name is called. A narrow transition panel shows architectural details before the battles begin. A girl with elaborate twin drill pigtails steps forward with dramatic flair. Her face is revealed, showing a confident, almost predatory smile and gleaming eyes. In the arena, she effortlessly blocks her opponent with crystal magic, frustrating his advance. In the stands, a light-haired boy gasps in surprise while Apruto watches calmly. The swordsman is again repelled by a fresh eruption of crystals, his attack completely nullified. His foot scrapes against the ground as the magical force relentlessly pushes him back. The light-haired boy remarks to Apruto how strong the girl, Cruel, has become under his tutelage. A close-up on Cruel's eyes shows her fondness and adoration for her master. Her opponent curses in frustration, unable to break through her impenetrable defenses. Apruto looks on with a faint knowing smile, touching his long ponytail. He confirms this level of power is a natural result for someone with her potential. An announcer declares the match over, with Lady Cruel as the winner. Cruel returns to the stands, announcing her return to Lord Apruto, who praises her strength. She beams, honored by his praise and proud to have fought without shaming his name. She clutches her dress, admitting that being praised by him makes her flustered. Pressing her hands to her blushing cheeks, she expresses her happy confusion. Leaning in close, she wishes Apruto the best in his own upcoming match. She finally acknowledges their companion, Chris, who looks on with an awkward expression. The three stand together, an awkward tension crackling between them. Cruel wonders aloud who Apruto's opponent will be, suggesting the Noir or Mirai families. Chris adds that there is also a possibility of it being the Saintess. Apruto and his companions react with surprise to the speculation. Other nobles in the stands come to a similar conclusion about the likely opponents. A faceless announcer's voice cuts through the chatter, calling for Apruto Ark's match. Chris and Cruel offer their encouragement and prayers for his success. Apruto walks with a calm, determined stride toward the arena floor. Other nobles tremble, recalling the trouble the Noir family caused at a past event. Apruto's thoughts identify his opponent as Tristan Noir, a rumored black sheep. He strides confidently into the center of the vast arena, his footstep echoing. His followers gasp in the stands, their eyes wide with disbelief at the scene. Apruto's composed demeanor shatters into shock, questioning what he is seeing. In a grand arena, a young man named Apruto Ark faces three opponents. A close-up reveals the surprised face of one of them, Saintess Elizabeth. Another opponent, Alicia Mirai, looks on with a worried and uncertain expression. Apruto wonders if the third opponent is from the notorious Noir family. With a confident smirk, the man introduces himself as Tristan Noir. Apruto's sharp eyes narrow as he assesses the highly unusual situation. From a high angle, Tristan politely asks the examiner for an explanation. The examiner acknowledges that the mock battles are supposed to be one-on-one. He explains, however, that the Saintess's support role makes her difficult to evaluate. Therefore, a special exception has been made for a two-on-two battle. The examiner prepares to announce the unexpected team compositions. He declares the first team to be Apruto Ark and a shocked Alicia Mirai. Their opponents are announced as Tristan Noir and the serene-looking Saintess. Apruto expresses his satisfaction, seeing this as a helpful opportunity to gather intel. Alicia, in stark contrast, is utterly horrified by the development. Approaching her new partner, Alicia nervously introduces herself for the first time. Apruto coolly returns the introduction, stating his name is Apruto Ark. Alicia proposes her role, explaining she will attack from a distance with magic. Taking command, Apruto instructs her to attack Tristan only until he is in sword range. A worried Alicia questions his plan, suggesting she should continue her magical support. Apruto points out that even with support, Tristan is still fighting alone. He remarks that overwhelming an opponent with numbers is not an elegant strategy. With conviction, he states his preference for one-on-one fights with divided roles. A wave of understanding washes over Alicia as she looks at him. She apologizes for misunderstanding, realizing his actions are born of noble pride. With renewed determination, she agrees to follow his lead and fight honorably. Apruto gives a final instruction, telling her not to target the Saintess. Alicia agrees with a knowing, almost conspiratorial smile. The examiner's voice booms across the arena, signaling the start of the match. The moment the battle begins, Tristan explodes into action, charging forward. In response, Alicia immediately conjures a swirling orb of dark, chaotic flame. She launches the powerful fireball directly at the charging Tristan. Tristan coolly calls upon the Saintess for her assistance. The Saintess calmly agrees, her eyes closing in concentration. She casts two spells in quick succession, one for defense and one for healing. The fireball impacts Tristan in a massive, violent explosion of dark energy. Alicia pumps her fist in triumph, believing she landed a decisive hit. Apruto's grim expression reveals his certainty that the attack failed. Through the dissipating smoke, a silhouette remains standing, completely unfazed. Tristan's foot stomps down hard, continuing his charge without breaking stride. A determined, almost manic grin spreads across his face. He appears completely unharmed by the powerful magical blast. Alicia watches in stunned disbelief, wondering what is wrong with him. She exclaims that he keeps charging at them despite being hit repeatedly. Apruto's gaze shifts towards the opposing team's support, a theory forming. He wonders if the Saintess is using her incitement skill to eliminate fear. A chilling, unnerving grin on Tristan's shadowed face confirms his suspicion. From the arena floor, Alicia cries out, wondering if Tristan is under a spell. Apruto explains the Saintess's incitement skill, which erases fear and hesitation. Seeing the situation escalate, Apruto declares that it is almost time for him to act. He steps forward, ready to intervene in the lopsided confrontation. With firm resolve, he announces he's going in, stating he cannot lose this fight. Now on the arena floor, he is greeted by a cheerful and eager Tristan. Tristan expresses his excitement, having heard rumors of Apruto's great skill. Apruto's sharp eyes remain fixed on his opponent, assessing him coolly. Tristan remarks on how fortunate he is to have this fated opportunity so soon. His face is flushed with a battle-crazed joy that he can barely contain. He raises his sword high, eagerly suggesting they begin cutting each other down. With utter disdain, Apruto retorts that his opponent talks too much. In a flash, he lunges forward, their blades meeting with a deafening clang. Tristan is pushed back by the initial assault, but finds the experience exhilarating. From the sidelines, a young blonde spectator watches with wide, captivated eyes. The hooded Saintess observes with a serene, knowing smile. Tristan taunts Apruto, asking if he's struggling or if the blows hurt. He launches a powerful, sweeping kick as his next move. Apruto parries the follow-up sword strike with practiced ease. He notes that Tristan has a few tricks and has studied multiple sword styles. Tristan lands gracefully, his face alight with the joy of battle. A blush dusts his cheeks as he relishes the intense combat. He declares the day a momentous occasion, proposing it be their anniversary. Apruto is visibly repulsed by the bizarre and unsettling suggestion. The young blonde spectator clutches her chest, embarrassed and confused. Tristan's sly expression shows he is enjoying his opponent's discomfort. He stomps his foot, shifting his stance and his line of attack. He goads Apruto, suggesting he team up with Alicia to stand a chance. Their swords clash again in a wide, sweeping arc of motion. Apruto points out the hypocrisy of Tristan's words, noting the Saintess's support. His sharp retort is met with a loud, booming laugh from Tristan. Tristan concedes that Apruto truly is something else, finding him amusing. He warns Apruto not to use the Saintess's support as an excuse for losing. Their swords clash again, the impact sending sparks flying between them. A spectator watches the two figures locked in their intense duel. She expresses her disbelief at the incredible skill being displayed before her. A companion explains Tristan's renowned martial prowess and the Saintess's powerful buff. She marvels that despite this, Apruto is fighting him on even terms. The two combatants are shown locked in a fierce, perfectly matched struggle. Tristan admires his opponent's skill, even in the heat of battle. Apruto's swordplay is described as beautiful as he presses his attack. He forces Tristan onto the defensive with a powerful, overwhelming strike. Tristan's expression shows the strain of holding back the relentless assault. Apruto's eyes flicker past his opponent, noticing a figure in the distance. He identifies the distant figure as Saintess Elizabeth. The Saintess decides to intervene, calling out to support Tristan. She extends her hands, unleashing the blessing of the Saintess. Tristan gratefully thanks her as he feels the surge of power. He roars in delight, feeling his body overflow with amazing power. The clash of their swords becomes a rapid-fire staccato of impacts. Apruto coolly assesses that beyond increased speed and strength, not much has changed. He observes that Tristan is struggling to control his enhanced speed, hurting his precision. Apruto concludes this is an expected outcome for their first time working together. From her place in the stands, a nun-like figure questions if this is the limit of their power. She considers the body enhancement magic unimpressive, but realizes its terrifying potential on an army. The thought of combining it with her fear-erasing incitement skill brings a chilling smile to her face. In the arena, Tristan taunts Apruto, asking why he has suddenly gone quiet during their fierce duel. Apruto's gaze hardens. He has observed enough and decides it is now time to end the fight. He moves in a blur of motion, his sword a swift arc that changes the entire pace of the battle. Completely caught off guard by the sudden shift, Tristan's face becomes a mask of confusion. Apruto unleashes a powerful, spinning kick that connects with his opponent with explosive force. His gaze is sharp and utterly focused as he follows through with the decisive, finishing attack. The staggering impact sends Tristan flying backward, and he cries out in pain from the blow. A blonde woman with a side braid, Alicia, gasps in utter shock at the sudden, brutal turn of events. The Saintess also looks on, her serene composure broken by a look of complete surprise. Apruto stands over his fallen foe, critiquing his impressive but slightly imprecise swordsmanship. Standing tall and confident, he declares that their next meeting will be at the academy. Defeated and battered, Tristan is slumped against the shattered remains of a stone wall. Apruto challenges him to a proper, true one-on-one fight in the future. Tristan smirks, realizing Aprioto was holding back and admitting he still has much to learn. From his place in the rubble, he formally concedes defeat, surrendering the match. After the duel, the Saintess and Aprioto stand apart in the now quiet arena. With a calm expression and raised hands, the Saintess officially concludes the match. An announcement booms across the Colosseum, declaring the team of Arc and Mirai as the victors. Alicia Mirai trembles with anxiety, the victory bringing her no relief, only deep-seated fear. She watches Aprioto with a look of shock as he calmly begins to walk away. Aprioto strides purposefully down a corridor, leaving the arena and his anxious partner behind. Left alone in the stands, Alicia clasps her hands, desperately wondering what she should do. Her thoughts race, recalling that she never expected the fighter, Absolute, to be so incredibly strong. She remembers the overwhelming power Aprioto displayed during his final, decisive attack. She fears what will happen if the hero, Alto, confronts the notorious Arc family at the Academy. The thought of their inevitable clash fills her with dread, certain the outcome will be disastrous. A new resolve forms within her. She must warn Alto as soon as she returns to the mansion. The scene transitions to the grand coffered ceiling of a lavishly decorated hall. Inside the Arc family estate, a formal gathering of well-dressed nobles is in full swing. On a sweeping, elegant staircase, Aprioto addresses a group of his young followers. Holding a glass of wine, he begins his momentous address to the assembled youths. He congratulates his followers, telling them they all fought well in the recent trials. He acknowledges that each and every one of them has trained tirelessly for this moment. Their dedicated efforts, he assures them, were not in vain and have clearly paid off. Looking ahead, he notes their impending entrance to the Academy, dismissing its egalitarian ideals as a lie. His expression grows serious as he begins to explain why their performance is so critical. He commands them to prove themselves and demonstrate the true, overwhelming power of the Arc family. His followers listen intently as he speaks of their family's maligned reputation for doing dirty work. Aprioto declares with fierce pride that if their necessary work makes them villains, he will embrace it. Clutching his family's emblem, he affirms his pride in being an Arc and in the lives they save. From the balcony, he poses a critical question, asking why the world looks down on them. His followers understand the somber truth. It is because others perceive them as being weak. A fire ignites in Aprioto's eyes as he vows they will prove their detractors wrong. A powerful aura emanates from him as he stands resolute before his assembled followers. He tells them they are no longer weaklings who deserve to be mocked by the public. He declares that now is the time for them to demonstrate their true, undeniable strength. He warns that powerless villains will be trampled by those who wield the banner of justice. With a passionate roar, he promises to always lead them from the very front lines. A light-haired boy's eyes glint with newfound resolve, inspired by his leader's powerful words. A girl with elaborate pigtails looks on, her gaze firm as Aprioto speaks of their identity as Arcs. A girl with glasses listens intently as he commands them to take pride in who they are. A boy with tiger-like markings grins fiercely, ready to embrace the path laid before them. Another boy listens, understanding they must have pride even if the entire world calls them villains. The followers shout their unified assent, ready to show the world the pride of their villainous family. Aprioto's path is now set in stone. He leads his followers forward, ready to take the crucial first step.